talk about playing the long game. Hello and welcome to another episode of Stories from the Toy Shelf Unscripted. And today we are doing Targetmasters because if you didn't know, Hasbro finally gave us the last Targetmaster that we needed, at least, for the 1987 batch, the first batch. And that's Sureshot with Age of the Primes. So I figured what better time to go over all the Targetmasters, the major ones that we've received since then. But since these guys are the last, let's keep these guys for the end. So right now, I want to start with the Decepticons. So sometime around 2016-17, this was around Titan Masters, the Titan Masters subline, and where the main feature were the headmasters. But aside from the main headmasters, Brainstorm, Chrome Dome, Skullcruncher, and all those stuff, basically the line was known for making almost every single Transformer that was released in that line a headmaster, including the Decepticon Targetmasters. So we have Trigger Happy, Misfire, and Slugslinger. That being said, while the Hasbro versions of these guys from Titan's Return were released just purely as headmasters and not the traditional Targetmaster, Japan at this time, Takara Tomy was at this time doing their own thing, basically releasing their own versions of the Titans Returns toys under their own line of Legends. And they were kind of pretty much going the extra mile, sort of releasing premium versions of the Titan Masters, more cartoon-inspired, maybe Japanese cartoon-inspired decos, and more true in spirit to their original characters, the original toys. So we have Trigger Happy, and then we have Misfire and Slugslinger, all released around 2017, probably within months of each other, and they all came with their respective Targetmasters, aside from being actual headmasters. But anyway, at this point, I already had the Titan Masters, but it was one of those things. I was on a trip, family trip to Hong Kong, and when you're buying all these stuff, you get caught up in the excitement, and these guys were available, and so I jumped at the chance to upgrade my Decepticon Targetmasters into true Targetmasters. And so while I did have the original ones from Hasbro, they were quickly sold off and we're left with these guys. So these were like the next wave of jets, Decepticon jets. Scourge and Cyclonus were also re-released and retooled as Targetmasters. But from what I know the original Universe Cyclonus came with his Targetmaster. I've since sold him off a long time ago, so I don't have him. And from what I know, I don't think any Chug version of Scourge has come with this Targetmaster. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but so as far as the 87 line of Targetmasters, Decepticon Targetmasters, these are pretty much what we have. And okay, so let's get started. With regards to the Decepticon Targetmasters, they pretty much shared the same basic mold with a lot of retoolings, and it started with Trigger Happy. And Titan's Return has its faults, right? But I mean, aside from the fact that they made a lot of the non-headmasters headmasters, but we had some really good releases here, and I think Trigger Happy was probably one of the best. I love his jet. It reminds me of a Star Wars, like an X-wing. Not that it really is an X-wing, but it does remind you of an X-wing for some reason. But yeah, this guy, the Jump Starters, Top Spin and Twin Twist, and later on we'll get to Cup. Those were the 3 stars of that line. Anyway, so we started with Trigger Happy. This guy surprised me because I was pleasantly surprised with the way he transformed him. So it was fair. At this point, Chug Transformers were kind of getting too simplistic. At least I thought so. So I like this idea, like twisting this bottom part, and so to complete the torso. In general, these guys, they had all the major articulation you needed, but you know what I forgot? I forgot to take out the headmaster. Rookie mistake. So yeah, he was a headmaster. He came with a headmaster. So his Targetmaster is Blowpipe, if I'm not mistaken. So the Targetmaster. So this was Blowpipe in the Titans Returns line, but in the Japanese line, obviously, in the Legends line, Blowpipe was the gun, and so this guy, the guy who formed the head, remained nameless. So yeah, I really loved I really loved Trigger Happy, the toy for Trigger Happy. I thought he was a fantastic design. The engineering and everything was, it was cool, right? And so I was really excited for his cohorts. So I was really excited to for the rest of the Decepticon Headmasters to be released based on what I experienced from Trigger Happy. But unfortunately, when it came to the Decepticon Targetmasters, these jets, it was kind of like a case of diminishing returns. This was the best. This is the best that we were going to get, Trigger Happy. So anyway, next up, we have Misfire. So of all the jets, Misfire is actually my favorite. I don't know, I just like this design. I like the color. It's a magenta, light magenta. I don't know what you call it, but I like it. And the design of the jet itself, it reminds me of a crab for some reason. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I think it's really neat. Well, they're all unique, so it's just a matter of taste, which you find better. And for me, I just like the look of Misfire. So yeah, this guy was still pretty cool in terms of engineering. He was a little bit more straightforward in the sense he didn't have the thing in the bottom where you would flip around like Trigger Happy. But other than that, he was basically an extensive retool of Trigger Happy. He still had a little challenge in his design, as in, well, you wouldn't flip around the torso again, like I said, but you still would have to, like, airplane. Again, I live next to an airport, and I saw, by now, if you're a regular viewer of my channel, you should know that by now, and so it shouldn't really bother you because it doesn't bother me. So airplane, and I'm doing jets, so added effect. So it's pretty straightforward. It's a heavy retool of Trigger Happy, not as involved, but still pretty cool, right? And maybe that's my bias because I like this guy, I like the design, and I think his color makes him pop. So Misfire and his Targetmaster, Aimless. So I think of all the Decepticon Targetmasters in the IDW comics, Misfire had like the most use. He was part of this group called the Scavengers, I think, some loser Decepticons, and they came across heavily PTSD Grimlock, who was like really messed up in the head, and they kind of befriended him, and he became part of their group, so which was pretty cool. So, Misfire and Aimless. And the final jet of the group, we have Slugslinger. So also, it's my least favorite in terms of design because, I don't know, a double cockpit jet, whoop-de-doo. And then, well, obviously it was too small to actually fit a Titan Master, so they put a faux cockpit. I mean, those are faux cockpits, and the actual pilot goes in this part. So this is Caliburst, right? And Slugslinger. And so yeah, so he was the last to be released, and obviously the one we were most excited for because it would complete the trio. But of all of them, he was the worst. I mean, not worst in the sense that, because again, it's the same toy, just retooled heavily, but it was like kind of like the most basic of the bunch. If I were Hasbro, if I were Takara, I would have released this guy first, and Trigger Happy last. Save the best for last. So this was kind of like a happy that we got to complete the trio, but it was kind of a bummer because he was kind of the worst of the bunch, the most boring, straightforward, nothing fancy, no cool transformation gimmick, not like the other two. But yeah, Slugslinger, and ironically, of all of them, I think he's the one he's been re-released in a 2-pack with Sandstorm of all. Well, I don't know if there's actual fiction backing that up, but he was released in a 2-pack with the latest Sandstorm that Hasbro made, with a cartoon version head, which I would have preferred. I never actually got the what was it? Was it Age of the Primes already? The last Sandstorm. I didn't get that guy because I was holding out for the cartoon head. But unfortunately, he came sold with an unnecessary re-release of this guy. So yeah, so Slugslinger, and that completes Let's put the one with the most pop in front. That completes the Decepticon Targetmasters. So you have Misfire, Trigger Happy, and Slugslinger. Okay, now it's time for the Autobots. Now, for the first three, I'll just do a quick speed round on them because, well, they were basically retools. They weren't unique designs. They were retools of Hot Rod. Oops, let's fix that. They were retools of Hot Rod, Cup, and Blur. Yeah, so they were retooled for the 1987 line to become Targetmasters themselves, just like Cyclonus and Scourge. So these original toys were released as part, again, of the Titans Returns line, and they were all Headmasters, but they were very stylized. So Takara steps in, and for their Legends line, they retooled these guys further, giving them more accurate heads and decos. So these guys look closer to their 1986 movie design. So I'll just post a picture of Titans Return Cup next to this guy so you can see the difference. Like the head is completely different. It's a completely new sculpt, and well, the shoulders are more round, just like the cartoon model. So yeah, and then we have Blur. The Titans Return Blur is like just too blue, and so this guy's a little bit better. And Hot Rod, the worst of the three. I think he's the worst of them, but they kind of fixed them. They retooled the chest so that it doesn't have the engine in his chest in robot mode. But other than that, and then the color is more maroon and stuff. So okay, so Blur came out first in the Legends line, but he did not come with his Targetmaster, Haywire, if I'm not mistaken. So supposedly the mold for Haywire wasn't ready when they released Blur, so he just came with a regular weapon. But a year later, Haywire was released with another Titans Return character, Double Cross, the Monster Bot. So this is the same trip where I bought all my Decepticon jets. So I actually skipped on the first release of this guy, and this is the reissue. Thankfully, they reissued him. So yeah. And I had to pay extra for this guy just to get Double Dealer. Sorry, not Double Dealer, Double Cross, just to get this weapon, right? Haywire. But unfortunately, he doesn't come in his vehicle mode, his alt mode. He wasn't retooled to accommodate the Targetmaster. So it's a pretty awkward combination. But I mean, oops, I display them in robot mode, so it doesn't make a difference. Later on, Takara released these two with their Headmasters, with their Targetmasters, with updated sculpts that could incorporate their Targetmasters properly in their robot mode. So easy buy for me. And with Blur, that completes the Autobot Headmaster. Actually, you know what? We're not quite done, because in Japan, they actually released two more special Targetmasters. So the first one is this guy, Stepper, or as in Japan he was released as Stepper, I think, and later on he was redubbed in the States as Ricochet. And he originally started as, I think he was an eHobby exclusive, and he was a repaint of Jazz. So like growing up as a kid, I always wondered, I mean, so they had the Datsun mold, which they reused 3 times, and then the Vans, Grapple, and Inferno and stuff. But I always wondered why they never reused Jazz's mold, because I thought Jazz's mold was one of the best original G1 toys. So again, so Takara fixed that years later when they made this new character, Stepper, and he was a cool black and gold repaint of Jazz, which I took a liking to quite immediately. Unfortunately, this toy is based on the Jazz from Powers of the Prime line, I believe, and it's probably Powers of the Prime. I think was one of the lowest points when it comes to retail Transformers. They were just oversimplistic and pretty bad, and this guy is pretty bad. But see, I'm a fan of Stepper, so I bit the bullet and I got him. And unfortunately, he was released without a Targetmaster, so he just comes with a plain old sculpted weapon. Hopefully the Studio Series Jazz will be released as Stepper. Hopefully we'll get a better Stepper with a proper Targetmaster weapon soon. But as of now, this is what we've got, and I don't even want to bother transforming him because he's. If you know, you know. This is a pretty bad mold. In fact, I outright skipped Jazz, and I just got this guy for the sake of having a stepper or Ricochet. But the second one is Artfire, which I find to be a weird name. So it's a recolor of Inferno, but this guy thankfully came with his Targetmaster, Nightstick, which apparently was also the name of the Targetmaster of Cyclonus. So I don't know how it was in Japan. Maybe in Japan, Cyclonus had a differently named Targetmaster. But for Artfire, that's his Targetmaster. And no, this is just a bad case of white plastic yellowing. Unfortunate side effect of most white plastics. So yeah, not much to say about these guys. I won't bother transforming them. But anyway, Stepper and Artfire, Japanese Targetmasters. And finally, the main event. So in 2020, we got this guy. It was a repaint / retool of the Siege Ironhide toy, which was pretty cool. And honestly, if you look at the original G1 toy, this looks nothing like the alt mode of Crosshairs. Crosshairs wasn't a van, he was an off-road vehicle with huge tires, which actually honestly looked pretty cool. Actually, there were a lot of upgrade third-party companies who gave upgrade kits to turn this guy into to give this guy a more G1 accurate looking Crosshairs mode, the Crosshairs alt mode, which I didn't bother. I just got him because one, I like this design, and I thought it would be cool to at least still have it, even if I had long since sold the Siege Ironhides and Ratchets. So I always considered this guy like the new version of Trailbreaker of the new Autobots. But I don't know. I honestly don't know much about the characters of these Targetmasters. But yeah, I mean, he fits as Crosshairs. He looks more like Crosshairs in robot mode, I guess. So this is a holdover from the Ironhide toy, which is pretty cool. And since it was a straight up repaint and retool, he did not come with his Targetmaster. But if you did want his Targetmaster, Pinpointer, I have my notes on the side. If you wanted Pinpointer, he was actually available in a special a special Voyager set with a Voyager Megatron. Supposedly, the story there is he was captured or something, I think, and which it worked well for me because the original Siege Megatron, while good, I'm a fan of it. I know it's been reused and retooled tons of time, but I'm a fan of that Siege Megatron. It had no paint, so they re-released it eventually with a better paint, and he looked pretty slick. And he came with this guy, so it was like a win-win. I got a better Megatron, and I got Pinpointer for Crosshairs. The only problem is, just like Blur, this guy wasn't designed to house a Targetmaster in robot mode. So, and it's a tight fit, but you can kind of fudge this weapon and Pinpointer on the back if you care to do so, if you want to keep both. I think it makes for a more formidable alt mode. So Crosshairs, pretty harmless at this point. I honestly didn't think they would, go the extra mile and do the other Targetmasters, at least within the Siege line, because after Siege was Legacy, and then Legacy, they released this dude, Pointblank. And okay, by 1987, I kinda was out of Transformers already, but I did check out the catalogs and stuff. And of the Targetmasters, I immediately pegged him as my favorite because, well, he had the coolest looking alt mode. At least I thought so. So unlike Crosshairs, where I didn't bother to get any third-party company kit to upgrade it, because Pointblank was my favorite of the Targetmasters, I splurged on this set by Non-F. Aside from the fact that this guy is my favorite, he unfortunately had a pretty... I'm biased. I thought it was okay, but I'll admit, he has a pretty rough robot mode. I guess you'll see as I figure out how to... as I transform him, you'll see it's a pretty rough looking robot mode, and I think a lot of people consider it to be the worst of all of them. This is kind of scared. So I didn't transform this in a while, and so I was kind of scared that I might break it because, okay, spoiler. So okay, the original release of this guy didn't come with arm swivels, which really pissed off quite a lot of people. I mean, it was a bummer, right? So non-F designed a kit to give this guy arm swivels, proper arm swivels, and honestly, I'm kind of scared because I haven't transformed this in a while, and you know how third-party companies are. You don't know exactly how sturdy their products are. I have had many Transformers break on me because I hadn't transformed them in like ages. So honestly, I'm risking my point blank for you guys because I love you guys. But yeah, slowly. Do not break on me, please. Do not break on me. Yeah, almost done. Into here. Down. That is here. And close this up. And so it comes with aside from giving this guy working arm swivels, it also gives you this stuff to, properly put point blank peacemaker on his back, and this goes like this, and airplane, this goes here, so you can just put the star on his butt. And okay, so yeah, point blank, and as you can tell, he's not the best proportioned robot, right? And which is a bummer because this guy is my favorite. And again, I'm biased, but I think he's okay, right? This one doesn't really stick properly on his butt, but that's where it's supposed to go. I think it's okay. Ugh, let's lay that on the side. And again, I'm biased, but yeah, point blank. And his Targetmaster pinpointer. Point blank, I believe, is the leader of the group, actually. So, yeah. And then, so at this point, everyone's waiting for Sureshot, right? The last of the original Targetmasters. And unfortunately, we had to wait quite a while. So this guy came out in 2020, 2022. And Sureshot came out in 2026. So 6 years to finally complete our Targetmasters. Right off the gate, this guy feels really different. At this point, I think, Hasbro is using a different plastic, so it's a lot softer. I don't know if that's better. I think it's better, but it does feel not as solid, I guess is the word. But that being said, I think of all of them, I think they all have interesting engineering, with point blank being the most frustrating. But this guy has got some pretty interesting. So yeah, he feels the cheapest, especially the legs. Like, I mean, but not cheap as in knockoff cheap, just lighter, like, I don't know. It just feels a bit lighter, and while his legs are hollow, you have the wheels to sort of like fill up the space in the back. But so I find this engineering pretty cool, right? So the only issue is that his spoilers are separate pieces, and they always tend to keep falling off. But what can you do? But for these retail Transformers, I try to transform them out of the box without instructions. The thrill of the challenge of blindly transforming something brand new. But yeah, I couldn't figure this guy out. In fact, I actually saw a video review where he was transformed, but a while back. But I had since forgotten. I just remember it being quite creative. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool transformation. It's interesting, it's unique, and not too headache-inducing, but still it's a challenge. Ugh, lock these things in here. And I mean, well, both modes, aside from the removable spoiler, they lock in pretty well, right? They're pretty sturdy in both modes, so which is a good thing. And this spoiler, where did this guy go? Yeah, you fold it up here, and there you have Sureshot and Spoil Sport. Oops. So let's put Sureshot over here with his compadres and Spoil Sport. So okay, so it took 6 years for us to get these Targetmasters, and in fact, now I think people are crying for a more accurate Crosshairs. I'm okay. Not to say that I probably wouldn't get him if they did give us a better Crosshairs, but yeah. So as you can see, it took 6 years, and in those 6 years, a lot of things changed in Hasbro. So I already mentioned it before. If you grab a hold of this guy, these guys feel a whole lot more sturdier and heavier. The plastic used was a lot different, right? This guy's a whole lot lighter, and yes, the plastic feels softer, which is it is noticeable, right? The plastic is a lot different. This guy was released in the Siege line, which meant that he's got a lot of detailing, and thankfully this guy doesn't have too much. He has a bit of the grime, which was all over the Siege stuff. But yeah, he if comparing him to Sureshot, so Pointblank is kind of like the mid-ground, but if you compare these two, he still has some detailing, but not quite as much as Crosshairs. Yeah, and then of course he was released when Hasbro was still, or Takara was. I think Takara made this Targetmaster mold, right? So it is very much more. Well, I just noticed this now, but Peacemaker and Spoil Sport are pretty much the same in terms of design. I mean, obviously they're retools, but the design is the same. Zero articulation. The arms don't move. Overly simplistic. They're smaller, right? And they're overly simplistic. You're literally just folding them out. Not that the Targetmasters really had that much engineering to begin with, but as compared to Crosshairs, to Pinpointer, I mean, aside from the size, Pinpointer has articulation. Right? I mean, it's the most basic articulation, but he does have it. And so this guy is more along the lines of the Decepticon Targetmasters, the ones made by Takara. So boo to Hasbro for cheaping out, but whatever, right? They're Targetmasters and they all work. I mean, at least these guys are smaller, but they work with the alt mode. So yeah, it took us 6 years, but we finally got there, right? Again, these are just the 1987 Targetmasters. There are a lot more Targetmasters in the Transformers universe, and I believe so. You've got characters like Spinister, and there was a tank. I forget the names. I'm sorry. You can get mad at me in the comments below, but yeah, there was a tank, and there was a jet, Needle Nose. I just haven't gotten around to getting them yet, but eventually I will. For the Autobots, there was Scoop. I actually have Scoop. He's upstairs. I never liked him. He was like a religious zealot in IDW. I never took a liking to him. And he was supposed to be a wrecker. Who else? Hosehead. Tell me in the comments below, but basically, as far as Targetmasters go, I don't really care about the later ones. As far as I'm concerned, I like these guys, the 87 bunch. For me, these are the definitive Targetmasters that you need in your collection, in your Chug collection. And yes, I may say that I'm happy with this Crosshairs, but of course, if a new Crosshairs does show up, Takara or Hasbro, if they do come up with a new Crosshairs, why not? Right? I mean, I'm a fan of Crosshairs, actually, the big wheels and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, yeah, there you have it. Stepper. Please give us a better stepper. And the tallest one, Artfire, can stay in the back and be seen. So, yeah. Zoom out. And there you have it, the 1987 Targetmasters. So, thanks for watching. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye.